Hello, dear students. Welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep IAS. Welcome to the daily quiz for today. Before I dive into the questions, I have few announcements for you. On popular demand, the big news is back. So make sure you tune in at 2 p.m. every day to their YouTube channel and find out the new videos regarding the big news of that day. Further, more exciting news coming your way. The BYJU'S National Scholarship Exam is up on 23rd October 2022. This is an exciting opportunity because you get almost 90% scholarship on your civil service exam preparation if you get good scores on the National Scholarship Test. The test will happen on 23rd October at 11 a.m. You can register for the exam for free. The registration link is given in the video description below. I want you also to remember that the link will be active till 6 a.m. on 23rd October, after which you will not be able to register. So make sure you utilize this opportunity and avail great scholarships after writing the National Scholarship Test. Now, without much delay, let's move into the first question. A common term recently seen in news is the Web3 ecosystem. With reference to this, consider the following statements. Web3 ecosystem involves blockchain technologies, metaverse, and non-fungible tokens. The second statement reads as, there are no startups in India in the Web3 ecosystem. Which of the statements are true? It's a two-statement question asking one only, two only, both one and two, neither one nor two. The question has been asked because of this particular news. India is a fast emerging as a sizable Web3 ecosystem. And you can see over here that they have mentioned fast emerging sizable Web3 ecosystem. So what is this Web3 ecosystem? Ideally, it is an iteration of the World Wide Web. It's a shortened form where they have mentioned Web3. Now, you have to understand that with this single knowledge, how can you solve this question? See, if you have something that is related to the internet, obviously it would involve all these major technologies like blockchain, metaverse, NFTs, etc. So you can consider that first statement correct. But look at that second statement. There are no startups in India in Web3 ecosystem. That cannot be possible because India is a country that is heavily focused on the service sector. The government is doing a lot of measures to improve the startup culture in India. And here you can see if it is not having any startups in the Web3 ecosystem, that is an anomaly. So the answer to this question is A, one only. Some additional information regarding this is India has a very rapidly growing Web3 ecosystem. It has over 450 active startups with almost 4 unicorns. Unicorns are those companies which have hit the 1 billion mark. And in the future also, India is planning to be one of the highest growth markets for Web3. Moving on to the second question. The Financial Action Task Force is an intergovernmental body that sets international standards to prevent international financial crimes. In this context, which of the following statements are true? Three statements are given. India is a founding member of the FATF. A country X, meaning any country which is there in the FATF grey list, will be subjected to strict economic sanctions. Currently, there are 2 countries blacklisted by FATF. And choose the correct statements. The reason why this news has been said is that Pakistan is likely to exit the FATF grey list this week after 4 years of scrutiny on terror financing. 4 years of scrutiny on terror financing. Let's get into the question. So if you have very minimal details of FATF, for example, like FATF was an organization which was started in 1989 by the G7 countries to prevent terror financing and money laundering. Now, if you look at this, what is the G7 group? G7 is a group of extremely rich countries. They have very high GDP happening. Now think about this. Do you think India in 1989 period would have been one among the G7 group, which is amongst the richest group of countries which are there? No, we were having the financial crisis in 1991. So imagine this. So India would never have been the founding member of FATF. India is a member and India joined FATF only in 2010. So your first statement over here is wrong. Coming to the second statement over here, a country X in the FATF grey list will be subjected to strict economic sanctions. This is where that news will come in help. Pakistan has been in the grey list for 4 years. And they're saying they were subjected to scrutiny. You cannot have countries subjected to economic sanctions, and that too strict economic sanctions, for over 4 years. Here they are saying it will be subjected to strict economic sanctions. So this cannot be true. In fact, what happens is, in the FATF, if you belong to the grey list, you will be subjected to very severe monitoring. They would be constantly checking if you are involved in any terror financing. So you can see over here, this second statement is also false. Now with this information, if you look at it, it's quite easy to get the answer. Here you would have A eliminated, C eliminated and D eliminated. The only answer right now available is 3 only. Now, if you look at it, the third statement reads, currently there are 2 countries blacklisted by the FATF. Now, this is a right statement. I have a task for you, as I always give you. I want you to find which are those 2 countries which are blacklisted by the FATF. Now, the answer to this question is 3 only. Moving on to the next question. Diethylene glycol recently seen in news is, and 4 statements are given. It's a new class of efficient biofuels, chemicals used to clean oil spills, possible adulterant in medicines, medicinal extract from plants. The reason why this has been in news is because of the very tragic happenings that is happening in Gambia. In Gambia, almost 66 children have died after consuming the cough syrups of these brands, which were produced in India. After this, the WHO has placed sanctions and said that these cough syrups should be taken out of the market and should not be consumed by children. So what is the scenario over here? The reason why these cough syrups became toxic was because they had used certain impure materials in the production of these medicines. And the impure materials that they had used was diethylene glycol and ethylene glycol, which means the answer to your question is C over here. I want you to understand these chemicals which are mentioned are solvents that are used as a substitute for water. Wherever water cannot be used, this is where they are used. So they are not something that you can use in medicine preparation. For medicine preparation, you need higher quality solvents, but these manufacturers use these cheaper solvents to cut their cost, and thereby has become the cause of this tragic death. Moving on to the 4th question. The National Credit Framework developed by India is related to 4 statements are given: Ministry of Company Affairs, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Education. Now, this is what I would term as a counterintuitive question. The reason being, normally when you just look at credit, you might think it is related to finance or company affairs. But it is not both of them. It is not related to both. In fact, this is related to the Ministry of Education. Now, the news that is being the basis for this question is this. It was published in the Press Information Bureau. The National Credit Framework is put up for public consultation. I strongly believe this question would be coming up as a 2023 prelims question. The reason being, this is the next big thing in our education policy. So under the National Education Policy, they have proclaimed this national credit framework which is there. So what is this credit framework? What would now happen is, if a person is there, whatever credits, rank, or any achievements that he has had will now be stored by the government and therefore carried forward to his PG courses or UG courses, and thereafter when he's seeking employment even will be available to the employer to grant him the job. So primarily meaning these credits would also be considered by the employer. Earlier, only the post-graduation and the undergraduation level credits would be considered by the employer. But right now, even the school level credits would be carried forward, and they have created the National Credit Framework for this purpose. So the answer to this question is Ministry of Education. Moving on to the previous year question of 2020, I picked this question because I wanted to show you a tip regarding this. With reference to the cultural history of India, consider the following pairs. Parivrajaka, renunciant and wanderer. Shramana, a priest with a high status. Upasaka, a lay follower of Buddhism. Which of the pairs given above are correctly matched? They've given few statements over here. Now here is where you have to think on the lines of language. Parivrajaka. Parivrajaka literally translates to someone as a forest dweller. Now if you look at it, renunciant has left all his worldly pleasures and wanderer is someone who's roaming around in search of enlightenment. Someone who's a forest dweller has actually left his worldly pleasures and has moved on to all these places. This is one clue. The second clue is, in several Indian cultures, you have people who have left their pleasures and moved on to become wanderers. You have Gautama Buddha, you have Mahavira. The reason I could solve this question was because Sri Narayana Guru, who was a social reformer in Kerala, is commonly termed as a parivrajaka in the Kerala culture. So using this, you could say this is a correct statement. Moving on to the second one, Shramana. I do know that Shramana traditions came opposing the caste system. So now, if they opposed the caste system, how will they have a priest with a high status? So again, with that logic, you can eliminate second statement. Upasaka. Upasaka roughly translates to attendant or someone who's common when it comes to several languages. Now look at this over here. Lay follower of Buddhism, meaning a common follower of Buddhism. So by that logic, I can say even that third statement is correct. So my answer to this question is 1 and 3 only. And finally, for the fact of the day, Dr. Dilip Mahalnabis. Dr. Dilip Mahalnabis recently passed away, and he is one person who has revolutionized the treatment of diarrheal diseases in India. He is the person who made the oral rehydration therapy available to the common people. He did this at the time of the Liberation War of 1971, when several people were lodged in refugee camps and were going to die of cholera. Cholera becomes fatal when the patient is severely dehydrated. So he made this oral rehydration solution available to these refugees and saved hundreds of lives. He never patented this technology, and this solution, I want you to understand, was earlier just used by the doctors. You could use it only on the doctor's recommendation. His contribution is the fact that he made it easily available to the people in the form of a salt and sugar solution. Now, where can you use this information? You know, when you write your GS4 answers, that is your ethics answers, you constantly need examples of famous people who have been empathetic, who have been innovative, etc. Dr. Dilip can be considered as an embodiment of all these values. With this, we come to an end to this session. I hope you all enjoyed the session. Make sure you comment your answers to the question that I asked in the comments below. If you have liked the video, if you've enjoyed watching the video, make sure you like the video and also share it with your friends. Thank you and have a nice day.